The Amazing Spider-Man 65.Deaths. Now, I had recently, and I always say, if you start a new thing, you start a new creative team, something that isn't the same, why not go to a new number one? And I hear these people are like, no, you can't. That messes up the order, and I collect them, and I have them all in there. What do these things do? These things must drive them insane to have these 65-point deaths.
It goes in this between 65 and 66, I guess.
Yeah, just like one just goes after the last one.
Why not just call it Amazing Spider-Man 66 then?
It's just something. We have it all the time. We've done this in the Nick Spencer run. You had it in the Beyond, deal.
Well, they're just saying that you don't really need to read it, is what it is.
Yeah, I wish somebody would have told me that louder. And so with that, my big problem with this, before we get into the credits, is the idea where if you, I know that if you're dealing with this, if you're Nick Lowe, maybe he is drinking the Kool-Aid way more than he should and thinks that this 8 Deaths of Spider-Man is a great story. And if it is a great story, boy, I wouldn't mind having more. Mm-hmm. But there is a point between that and giving people what they want and more of it. And then there's we're going to milk the crap out of fans who are loyal to the nth degree, maybe loyal to a fault at this point, where they will buy people with continuous runs, but people who really like Spider-Man, even though your Spider-Man has been awful for years now, they are still holding on with some hope and will buy anything. They don't want to miss out on things.
If you had Spider-Man at your local comic book store on your pull list, they would include this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they're going to order this, and then if you say I don't want it, then
that's the problem. I was going to say, unless you told them beforehand, but you might not even know, and then you don't want to screw them.
No, so you're stuck with it.
Screw that, so you're stuck with it. And so again, there's that thin line in my mind between giving a bonus and taking advantage. This is taking advantage. This is fully taking advantage.
When the times are good, you want an issue like this. You want more and more and more, but right now it's the opposite.
Okay, and even if we got this issue, which I'll give you the credits right now, it's The Amazing Spider-Man 65.Deaths, written by Derek Landy, Kev Walker on pencils, Kev Walker on Wade Bound Growlboucher on inks, Matea Iacano on colors, and VC Joe Carmagna on letters. If this issue did anything, but it's never going to, because it's got deaths. But if it actually, they said, okay, Derek Landy comes in and says, you know what? I got an idea. How about we really nail down these rules for this 8 deaths? Or how about we show something important like the Scions of Sidorak? Let's see how they're dealing with it on their side. Or maybe the idea of the conflict between them, really spell out, how about this? What's Doom doing at this point? While this is all going on, even what is normal Doctor Strange, like stuff like that. If we had anything that would add to this in a way that felt like, oh my God, the perfect deal would be something that if you're reading it and really want to dive in deep, then you get something, but it's based on the actual story. This feels more like it's dealing with, and I think Derek Landy's doing a bunch of it, the Infinity Watch stuff, the idea of the stone stuff. Guess what? It has nothing to do with this. The only tie-in is Coulson. Coulson has death. That's what we're going to get. This should have been called, this should have been just an annual with that stuff, not this. It just ends up where we're going to deep dive, kind of, I wouldn't even call it a deep dive, of what Coulson is dealing with as death. But in the meantime, what we do get with the story, we do get a little of the ongoing story. We get a continuation of Peter being an asshole. And that's, I hate to use, the language here, but he's a dick. Mm-hmm. He's a complete and utter jerk. He has given up, which had nothing to do in my mind with Peter or Spider-Man. And then even when Coulson talks to him, things keep popping up that to me should end up snapping Peter out of it. And he's like, oh my God, stuff like, again, and what we're going to get, I don't know if people have seen this. I know that a lot of people know Spider-Man, but usually even the most, learned Spider-Man fan has never seen Uncle Ben's death.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to say
I know. It's like...
we just see greatest hits or greatest, all that again.
It's just greatest misery.
Yeah, we had it already. We actually have had just that.
We get 3 double-page spreads about it.
And we just had an issue where, the bicycle riding time that we already saw all the deaths. Then even less that we saw future deaths. Why? You just keep going back to that misery well. And you're writing, and Derek Landy, God bless his soul, writes one of the worst Peters I've ever read. Some of the things that he says doesn't even sound like it's even a human saying it. It's so bad. And it's just I want to reach in and strangle Peter. I don't want to read Spider-Man in a point where I want to slap him across the face and tell him to snap out of it.
But is Peter a product of just the nonsense story that's going on around him? The fact that he's witnessed all these deaths is something that's been forced upon him, and I don't want that for Spider-Man.
How about this? Let's play the idea that he's actually an actor, and he's like, I don't want to be involved in this.
Well, it doesn't look like Peter, so maybe it isn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. But in the meantime, here we go. You end up again. It's Coulson. We had the setup. Me and you even said the last issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Why is Coulson in the mirror? It felt really weird. Also, he doesn't have to be in the mirror. He's deaf.
He can go wherever he wants.
Yeah, he's there in the mirror. And Peter says, I don't care about any of you. Let the world burn. Why even bother going and get a hot dog? The world's going to end. Dude, I guess that's your last meal. I mean, maybe if this is something and you have completely given up, because him giving up destroys the world. Not even destroys the world. It's not like it blinks out. We've gotten hints that it's going to become a living hell. Sidorak's going to come in and just wreck shit nonstop. So maybe go and apologize to everybody you love. Go and apologize to Aunt May and Paul. I'm telling you, I like Paul more than Peter in this issue. Go and apologize to all the people that you are now letting down, whether or not it's been laid on you or not. You are a superhero. You're one of the best, and you have given up. So go and just apologize to everyone for screwing up and letting them die. But yet, instead, he just goes and gets a hot dog.
And you see that hot dog, too? It's like dripping the mustard and stuff. And he hasn't even taken a bite out of it. It's just sitting there.
Just there. Like, seriously, there's like so much going on in that stupid hot dog. And who holds a hot dog like that? So he goes and gets a hot dog. And that's where Coulson says, oh, my God, Dr. Strange, you can see me. He's like, yeah, I can see you. Oh, man, what should we do? And Dr. Strange is like, I've done nothing and I give up. So you go and try something.
Dr. Strange is being very negligent.
Yeah, and he's just like, whatever.
Passing the buck.
Go find Doom. That's Doom
it's basically
should have been doing
he's taking his demotion pretty hard.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll tell you the thing about this. First off, I think that they didn't have it as a Doom story because Doom, seeing all this stuff besides his mom, would probably laugh. But he would have been better suited for it.
I still say this is a story that they've had in the
and they just throw it in there
10, 15 years, whatever, and they just were like, hey, let's do it, and kind of try to adopt it to the modern stuff. So you end up where Coulson's like, hey, what's going on, Peter? I'm a big fan. You're the greatest, and I guess I'm supposed to convince you that you should keep fighting with this stuff. You should keep going. And Peter's like, you don't know me, bitch. Like that he's so miserable. Basically.
And just bad. And they have a discussion about walking through doors for 6 panels. Like there's nothing going on here. So then this is where I get the big thing that's straight up Peter Parker. I mean, I know that everybody will agree. You end up where Coulson says, but man, you're the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You're Spider-Man. Everybody loves you. And he goes, I'm a costume clown doing cartwheels in the street. What? When would he ever say this? And then he says, what have I done? I fought bad guys, invited calamity, endangered my loved ones. And for what?
Yeah,
no.
Calamity.
Calamity. Now you get Calamity Jane over here. Now you've given up, though. So not only have you endangered your loved ones, now you have signed all of their death certificates. You are now the worst. And so he's like, everything's inevitable. Why delay it? Why delay it? Because you're a hero. You're Spider-Man. You're Peter Parker. You have dealt with people dying and have used that to actually inspire you to be better. But now it's just, well, they'll die. Like the idea that he never sat there and thought, I think everybody's going to die eventually. No, that's what happens, Peter. And it's a real bad play when we saw the things before is it wasn't the idea that he caused their deaths. It just is the inevitability of death. But one of the things that they really were pushing was the idea, they even kind of do it in this, is the idea that when people die, eventually their stories disappear. But that's basically here Peter's saying, if he dies, like, I don't care about Uncle Ben. Nobody, whatever. No, you fight to keep that going because you live your life. You have a code that you go by. I mean, the guy says one saying ever, and you've lived your life every day by it.
Every decision's based around that.
You're going against it now.
Yeah.
Like, I guess maybe we'll get Ghost Ben and he'll like slap him because then
he would be violent. He would be physical with him for sure.
Oh, he would be pissed. Remember that? Wasn't it the Kari Andrews deal? Remember he was a little fancy with him there too on that island. But Coulson says, "Oh man, I get you. I know you." And he's like, "No, you don't. Use your would you powers," which I don't even know that he has these. But he says, "Go and look at all the deaths that I dealt with." So then we go, and what you end up having is you go to the flashback of what I'd like to call the land of awful art. Because when you first start, his parents, I mean, his mom looks like she might be cross-eyed. The dad, there's nothing wrong with that. The dad looks like it's Errol Flynn near his death.
Well, yeah, they're not young. I mean, I don't know what that.
The idea of what you've like with Batman and Peter, all these things that deal with this, you keep fighting so that people don't end up in that same situation that you were in, and in the idea of honoring the deaths, especially Uncle Ben. But we see that. We see his parents. We end up seeing, Gwen Stacy, all these things that I swear to God would snap him out of it, of saying, okay, these people died. I got to keep fighting. But no. And now we just go greatest hits, greatest miseries. As you said, we've already seen this. And, we'll get, Norman. We'll end up getting Eddie all these things. And then I was joking with you beforehand. What we really get, though, is that period of time when Peter became an archaeologist and uncovered the ancient tomb of Aunt May, because she looks like she's about 900. I swear to God, it looks like he has come into her apartment and they didn't realize she was dead for 6 months.
She's mummified.
Holy moly. Again, like, you're seeing this, but what does that mean in this all around anyway? Seeing that.
I mean, he acts like it's a big deal. She's 110 years old, and she passed away.
And this is where I thought that what we were going to get and could pull it out is that Coulson, who is new and says, I don't really understand a lot of all this stuff I'm doing. I'm just death. He says, I don't even know why the stone picked me. That's what this issue's mainly about. Not about the 8 deaths. It's about why the stone picked Coulson. And really, it's kind of a surface level deal.
Look at him sitting there like Forrest Gump or whatever.
Yeah, he is. It's Forrest Gump. He's thinking about chocolates. And so when you get this, though, where you could have had what I think would have been neat is Coulson saying, listen, and have Coulson guiding through this. Like, oh, and here's this. I don't know why, but he's giving play by play. So he ends up where he says, oh, and then here's Aunt May. But this is weird. Like, Aunt May seemed to have died at one point, but then the lifeline picks up again a second later. Like, I've never seen that before, almost giving Peter the idea of like, oh, maybe I'll look into that one more day stuff. But you don't do that. You just end up having what is supposed to be. And at this point, I think that most people, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but most people, including me, I'm kind of sick of seeing the misery. We saw this in an issue, and then we saw future misery. Now we get it again, and then we get Sad Sack Peter on the couch. What they need is Dylan Brock to come in and make fun of him like he's doing to Paul over in that all new Venom. That'll snap him out of it. But in the meantime, then, after all that, Peter says, I don't care. None of this matters. None of it means anything. Everyone dies anyway, and usually it's awful. You, of all people, should know that. And Coulson should say, yes, but I've also seen people being taken before their time or taken when they couldn't fight. You can fight back. You're actually one of the people. And I think that as Coulson, I would say, I am death right now. I can't do anything. I go and I collect people, and it's misery. You know who can do something about it? You. You can do it. Maybe even show something recently where Coulson was sent like, oh my God, this person's going to die. And he's about to grab this little girl. And then Peter saves her. And then we see, and then have Coulson say, because it seems whatever he can do, show that this girl will grow up to cure cancer. Say that this girl grows up and has a great life and whatever. He is stopping everything. I mean, the idea of it, it's not quite this, but he almost is going to cause the genocide of Earth on him. You know, he's going to end up, he's the one who has the decision of what he could do. Just give it your all. And if you're not going to do, what's that?
But does he have to do all this on his own, or can he enlist like the Avengers or whoever? I don't know.
I guess it's only the people who has the magic Scion thing, but they've never said the rules. Yeah. See, this is what I'd do.
Just have freaking Hulk show up and beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, I guess that Hulk would just get destroyed because these are Scions and they're I don't know. What I would do is I would just go and fake it. I'd be like, oh man, I'm trying. Just die and stay. Yeah. Don't take that read. throw those, give them away, something like that, just die. And then maybe, and in fact, if you would do that, again, like you said, maybe he should just say, or Strange should say, or Doom should come back and there has to be an alternate plan. And you can't give me that there isn't, because Spider-Man is not the Sorcerer Supreme. This is a thing that was done between Sorcerer Supremes. He's not that. So obviously you can bend the rules a little. You can
empower other people.
Yeah, just empower. That was what you should do, is empower somebody else and then have them
Scarlet
win.
Witch or something.
Have them win and shame Peter till the day he dies. Shame his ass till the day he dies. Tell him to go live on the moon. You gave us all up. Again, it's not Peter. It's there to cause conflict in the story, and it does not fit. None of this fit from the beginning.
I can see him being upset because of all this thousands of deaths he witnessed, I guess, but I don't want that for long-term character development for Peter.
And you know that after this, he's going to snap out of it.
Hopefully he does.
I don't see how he wouldn't, because the idea, even though Joe Kelly seems intent himself, not that he did this, but the whole story in general, to make a miserable, whiny, not capable of having a job Peter Parker. And it's
that's
not
what you
good.
Always say. It's not good character development. All you're doing is just beating a character down, and then you just reset them back to status quo.
That's all. I hate when people think that there's character progression, because you take them in this low. You just put them artificially down to then get them that
then put them back where he's supposed to be.
Status quo is not. It's status quo. Elevate the character. Like, this is, at this point, you have made a story that instead of Peter struggling at the beginning because I'm not a magic guy, what's going on? I don't think this is for me, and actually doing it his own way and winning. And you say, oh my God, I didn't think that this story fit Peter and Spider-Man because it was a cosmic deal. But in the end, he proved us wrong. He's proving us right. He's proving us right that this story stinks. He doesn't think it's good. He wants out. But then you go with Coulson and says, I guess, back in the day, because he says at one point, I found my grandfather dead, but I don't remember things. I was 6 years old. And then you just see that he saw death. And he was able to see death. Death says, oh, you're pretty crazy. There's a little thing in this that's kind of okay. The idea that everybody who dies, they do take that idea of you away, that, your grandfather would think this special thing about you and would only see you through his that gets taken away. And that is sad.
There's a version of you that only that person saw, and it's now gone.
It's true. Yeah. Like, I sit there and my kids drive me nuts. Other people are, you have such behaved kids. I'm like, you don't see what I see. Yeah. But then at the end, when you die, all those kind of things come together for your sexiest self.
Do people say that to you? You have well-behaved kids?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're like, they're so nice. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm like, they are not at all. So, yeah. So all in all, though, you don't really get anything except Peter becoming more miserable. What Coulson did was pretty much convince Peter even more. Then Peter's like, I guess I spilt that hot dog crap all over. I'm going to go buy a pizza. And since I don't want to share, I'm going to wet myself up. I'm going to crawl up a wall without my shoes on so that I could do that, but not
out in the open so everybody can see me.
Yeah, what is he doing? And that pizza, even that, what's Kev Walker? What's with this dripping shit on all the food? Like, you get that pizza, if it's too hot, then that's why you
got an
fold
entire pizza.
I don't like folding. Yeah, and he's just there by himself.
Not a slice, pizza. Like a large pizza.
Oh, I could down that right now, but still, I wouldn't climb up the wall to do it. Just
in New York, it's really slice based.
Yeah, you could get the deal, but
I guess.
I don't know why he'd get a full thing just to climb up the wall. He even has the thing in the middle, like that thing that keeps.
Yeah, I saw that. It like kind of like it's gonna fall out. Hit somebody in the head and kill him.
I don't know, who cares? Who cares about that? Somebody's going to walk by. Who's that? You said, who's that hobo up there with the
disgusting
spider
feet.
shadow?
Why is he taking his shoes off? He doesn't. He doesn't.
Because I guess he has to stick to them.
I guess, but sometimes they draw him with shoes on.
Yeah, I'm telling you. In that though, I would love to think that because of the light, I could make do with. Oh yeah, it would make a spider shadow.
No,
it's even.
It would not.
I know it. I know what it's supposed to be, but it's just goofy. Like I'd like to where he's like getting this. They have to show the panel of him buying the pizza with his card. Why are we doing this? Even then, something is going to happen where he's going to see, and even he walks by. There's a guy. He's got crap there. I don't even know what's happening in this.
That guy's.
Yeah, look at that guy.
He's got issues.
Well, he looks like
that's why his head is so heavy. It's weighing him down.
Yeah, look at him. It's weighing him down, but he's got like a blanket with a bunch of booze in it. And he's like pulling it along. Or maybe his groceries broke open. And then Peter,
Peter's just ignoring him.
Actually, it is funny. What they're trying to show, I think, is this guy's groceries, which this guy definitely calls the liquor store grocery store. And then he leaves the old lady. Yep. Oh no, she's got to walk across the street on her own. And I'd like it in the back there. Somebody's dead.
There's a sign that says "No horn honking, $350 fine." I've never seen that before. I like it though. Yeah, they need to put one of those in your neighborhood.
If they put that in New York City, they're either going to be very rich or they're
or
not
a lot of cops are going to get beat up.
People are going to be really beat up. And then Peter he's like, I'm getting a pizza. Guys, groceries fell? Whatever. These are the big moments. It's like, what lady has to cross the street on her own? What? Not my fault. And then he uses, and this is the other thing you don't realize. That's a stolen credit card. He's getting the pizza. It's Norman Osborn's. It's like, put it on my tab. But yeah, there's the end. He's on the wall. What would you give this?
I would give this a 3.Deaths.
Yeah, I give it I just want to give it deaths. Yeah, I think I'm 3.5. I seriously, I don't even know why I'm going that high.
I don't know. I like the point about that you said about the dead people.
Yeah, that was okay. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
Not for the right reasons. I did where else are we going to see 800-year-old Aunt May except for almost every other comic? She is so old. The thing is, she's going to die, go to heaven. Uncle Ben's going to be like, who is this? My biggest real problem is that you are not giving us a good story, and then you're adding things on, trying to take advantage of people.
You're like doubling down on the BS. It's so strange.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.